lawyers are much more likely to be depressed than other professionals. And yet, so many of us continue to chase external validation, client praises, case wins, salary increases, thinking those things bring us happiness. But what if I told you that none of those things truly control your happiness?
Welcome to the Free Lawyer Podcast. I'm your host, Gary Miles.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining me here today. Hope you had a great weekend. Do you know that most lawyers report having high levels of stress and burnout? That's no surprise, is it? Or that 28% of lawyers struggle with depression and so many feel trapped in their careers? Here's a shocking statistic. Lawyers are much more likely to be depressed than other professionals. And yet, so many of us continue to chase external validation, client praises, case wins, salary increases, thinking those things bring us happiness. But what if I told you that none of those things truly control your happiness? I'm Gary Miles, and after 4 decades as a trial lawyer, I've discovered something that truly transformed my life. True happiness is not found in winning cases or getting praise from clients. It's actually an inside job. And today I'm going to share how you can take control of your happiness regardless of external circumstances. If you have ever felt like your well-being was tied to case outcomes or client feedback, this video will show you a better way. But before I share with you these transformative insights, let me tell you a quick story. See, I know this firsthand because early in my career, I tied my happiness to whether my clients were pleased, whether I won a case, whether I got positive feedback, those sorts of external events. When things went well, I felt great, but when they didn't, I felt like a failure. And for years, I rode that emotional roller coaster in my law practice. When I won a case, received a glowing client testimonial, I was on top of the world. But when things didn't go as planned, my happiness plummeted. Sound familiar? Through my journey as a managing partner at Hughesman, Jones and Miles, and now as a coach for lawyers, I've discovered that pattern isn't just common, but it's holding lawyers back from true fulfillment. If you ever felt that way, you are not alone. But here's the good news. You can break free from that cycle, and today I will show you exactly how. I'll show you how to take back control of your happiness, cultivate resilience, and build a fulfilling legal career. If you want more strategies like this, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. And if you want to schedule a courtesy call with me, the link is in the show notes. So let's talk about something that transformed my practice and actually transformed my life. Understanding that happiness is an inside job. And here's what I mean. As lawyers, we're trained to focus on outcomes, aren't we? We focus on winning cases, billing hours, growing our practice. But here's the truth I learned after decades in litigation. While we tie our happiness to those external factors, we give away our power because many of those things we do not have any control over, any power over. Think about your last week. How many times did your mood shift based on how a client reacted to your work, or some ruling from a judge, or a feedback from a partner, or the size of a new client retainer? See, here's the game-changing realization. None of those things, good or bad, should control your happiness. When you take back that control, something remarkable happens. You become more effective. You're more resilient. And most importantly, you're even more successful. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Gary, we're in a service profession. Of course, we need to care about outcomes. And you're absolutely right. But there's a crucial difference between caring about outcomes and letting them define your well-being. If your happiness depends on winning every case, you're in a state of constant anxiety. You're emotionally exhausted. You're at the risk of burnout. But if your happiness comes from within, your decision-making is clear. You feel stable and confident. Your practice is sustainable and consistent, and you provide better client service. See, the key is understanding that your value is not determined by any single outcome. It's about who you are and how you show up every day and being true to yourself and true to your values. And when you take charge of your happiness, you'll make better decisions because you're not operating from fear or desperation. Your client relationships will improve because you're not emotionally dependent on your clients for their approval. You'll handle setbacks with grace and professionalism, which actually will enhance your reputation. But most importantly of all, you will break free from the exhausting cycle of seeking validation from sources you can't control. I've seen this transform countless lawyers' practices and lives. And remember, taking control of your happiness is not about becoming indifferent to outcomes. We still care about the results we get for our clients, but it's about creating a solid foundation that allows you to handle both successes and challenges with the same strength and confidence. Before we move on to the practical strategies for cultivating this internal happiness, let me ask you this. How much of your current happiness depends on factors outside your control? Now, think about that for a moment and share your thoughts in the comments or in the post that I'll do about this uh, episode today. If you're ready to take control of your happiness and transform your practice, visit GaryMiles.net for a free consultation where we can discuss your specific situation, or a link to schedule it is in the show notes. Now that we understand why happiness is truly an inside job, let's dive into the three fundamental pillars that will transform your practice and your life. These are the three pillars of lawyer happiness. Pillar one is setting boundaries. And it might seem simple, but it's revolutionary for many lawyers, setting and maintaining clear boundaries. And this is what effective boundaries look like in practice. It's boundaries about time management, establishing specific work hours and sticking to them, creating work blocks, blocking out time in your calendar where you handle complex tasks without interruption, and setting aside time for your family that's uninterrupted. It includes client communication, setting parameters with your clients so they know when you, when you may get a certain task completed or when you're available for calls except in an absolute crisis. So often clients control our life, but we can train them. We can set boundaries so that they communicate. They know that our communication will be timely and reasonable, but on our schedule. So when you're working on that project, a client calls, you can let the call go to voicemail and set a time that you can actually consult with them about the whole case. It also includes our personal space, setting areas in your home where you never work, scheduling regular breaks during your day, and protecting your weekends and vacation time. Remember this, setting boundaries is not selfish. It's essential for you to give the best service to your clients. And pillar two is learning to cultivate internal joy. This pillar focuses on actively building your internal happiness reservoir. And there are a couple ways to do that. One is a daily gratitude practice. I have my clients start every morning noting down three things they're thankful for. And in the evening, to write down whatever wins they had for the day, whatever things worked out well, whatever staff member might have given them service, whoever was kind to them today, whatever compliment they get, and write those in your journal. Integrate mindfulness practices in your day. Begin your morning with a 2-minute mindfulness centering where you kind of think about your plans for the day, what you hope to get accomplished, taking deep breaths before you get started. If you have a client meeting, take 1 minute to get yourself centered. Practice being present during client conversations. And if you're about to enter into a difficult situation, take three deep breaths and close your eyes for a minute for about 30 seconds and just center yourself. And find projects outside of law that you love that fuel your passion. Whatever it might be, whatever your interest is, whether it's pickleball or golf or yoga, and maintain your social connections. Don't isolate yourself. And the final pillar, pillar three, is about building resilience. It's about developing the mental strength to maintain your happiness despite challenges. And there are a couple pieces to this. The first is to reframe those challenges. When you have a setback, it doesn't make you a failure, but look at it as an opportunity for growth or something you can learn. Focus on growth and excellence rather than perfection, and maintain perspective in difficult situations. Ask yourself, how important is it? Focus on the big picture, and know that you can learn and grow from that challenge as well as others. The second important part to building resilience is having a good support system. Build a professional network with other lawyers who you may meet and have lunch with or connect sometimes. Join a bar association committee in an area that's of interest to you. Have a mentor. I find my clients get such strength and support out of working with me. And maintain personal relationships outside of your profession. And then build habits of success. Regularly assess where you are in comparison to where you were last year, and where you are on track with the goals you set for yourself. Set a process for learning and developing new skills, and practice strategies to keep that all important balance in your life. But we know the biggest challenge we face is maintaining these pillars, these three pillars of boundaries, cultivating inner joy, and building resilience, maintaining them under pressure. That is really our biggest challenge, is it? Maintaining happiness pillars when real world pressures hits. And I'm talking about those moments when you have three urgent motions due tomorrow, or that difficult client demands immediate attention, or the court unexpectedly moves up your trial date, or you have family obligations which collide with your work deadlines. So here are some tips for how to manage that. The first is to set up a protocol for how you respond to those emergencies. And the first is, before you race into reacting, step back and take 3 deep breaths. Assess the priorities. What do you have to do that day, and what's the most urgent and the most pressing? And remember that whatever boundaries you set that are non-negotiable, keep them in place. Maintain your daily anchors. So in the morning, I recommend to my clients they have a 10-minute planning session. They plan what they're going to do that day, and they try to get some wins done first. I urge them to take a reset break during the day, just for a minute or two, to refocus themselves. At the end of the day, have a process where they close down for the day. They review their billing to make sure all their time is in. They make sure they made all the notes on the files they worked on that day. They shut down the computer, and before doing so, they plan their next day, what they're going to work on first, and they block out time to get those things done. And maintain your client management. That client may be demanding, but remember you have protocols in place that you'll talk to them timely and reasonably and hopefully within 24 hours, but not at their beck and call. And when everything feels just so urgent, remember this. Identify the 20% of the actions that will take care of 80% of the pressure. Take care of those 20% that removes 80% of the pressure. Focus on the activities that cause the best impact for you. Take off the most stress. And then find someone you can delegate to, an associate or your paralegal. And remember, above all, keep your happiness anchors. Keep your daily gratitude practice going. Take breaks during the day to recenter yourself. And of all importance, stay connected to your support system, to other colleagues you're close with, to your mentor, to your best friends. And the secret isn't avoiding pressure. We can't do that. Stresses will happen. But the key is building a foundation strong enough to withstand it. When you maintain these 3 happiness pillars, you'll find you actually handle pressure better because you're operating from a place of strength rather than stress. So remember, set boundaries for your time management, your client communication, your personal space. Work on building cultivating inner joy with a gratitude practice and mindfulness and pursuing projects outside the law. And have a process of building resilience by reframing challenges, having a support system, and reviewing your assessment and your growth. So to kind of recap what we've talked about today, kind of the main points I want to make to you is happiness is not something that happens to you. It's something you create in your life. You don't need external validation to feel fulfilled. And when you set boundaries, build resilience, and practice gratitude, you truly can take full control of your happiness. You know, when I started my legal career over 4 decades ago, I never imagined that the most important case I would handle would be the case for my own happiness. Like many of you, I thought success and satisfaction would naturally flow from winning cases and building a thriving practice. But what I've discovered and what I've seen transform countless lawyers' lives is that true fulfillment comes from within. The truth is, you became a lawyer to make a difference, to help people, to create positive change. But somewhere along the way, many of us lost sight of our well-being and service of others. You know, today you've learned that taking charge of your happiness is not selfish, it's essential. It's not just about feeling better, it's about being a better lawyer, a better advocate, a better partner, a better parent, a better spouse, a better person. Imagine walking in your office tomorrow knowing that your well-being is not at the mercy of the next court ruling or that challenging client or that difficult attorney on the other side of the case. Instead, picture yourself grounded in the confidence that comes from knowing you are in charge of your own happiness. Think about how that changes everything: your decision making, your client relationships, your family time, your entire approach to practicing law. I've seen this transformation firsthand. Lawyers who are burning out are now thriving. Practitioners who are questioning their career choice are rediscovering their passion for the law. Parents who miss their children's events are now present for the moments that matter most. You know, this is not just about being happier. It's about being whole. It's about practicing law from a place of strength rather than a place of stress. And most importantly, it's about taking back control of your life and your career. So here's my challenge to you. Start today. Choose one small action from what we've discussed and implement it immediately. And 2, schedule your complimentary coaching session with me where we can create a personalized plan for your journey to freedom and fulfillment. Remember, no one else is in charge of your happiness but you. You have the power to transform your practice and your life. And my question to you is, are you ready to take that first step? If this message resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and share this video with a colleague who needs to hear it. And leave a comment below or on my LinkedIn post sharing your biggest takeaway. I read and respond to every comment. You may always respond to me at gary@garymiles.net. And this is Gary Miles reminding you that true freedom in law begins with taking charge of your own happiness. Until next time, keep breaking free. Please join me next week as I share some more tips for you to find freedom in your practice. And as always, please be well, be safe, and be free.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Free Lawyer Podcast. Wherever you are listening, if you enjoyed what I shared, please leave me a rating and review. I would appreciate hearing more about what you like best and what topics you might like me to cover in future episodes. If you are interested in experiencing a more fulfilling and a more successful life, please contact me at www.garymiles.net, where you can schedule a free discovery call with me so I can learn more about you, your challenges, and your dreams. I appreciate each and every one of you and have a great rest of your day. thanks to all of you for your support.